What if I told you that the secret formula behind Star Wars, Harry Potter, and pretty much every blockbuster you've ever loved was actually a trap? Well, today we're putting the world's most popular story structure up against one of the most radical critiques in all of philosophy. This is going to be fun.
So, let's just jump right in. Have you ever gotten that feeling of déjà vu while watching a movie or reading a book? You know, where it feels like you've kind of seen this story before? From the oldest myths we have to the biggest movies out today, it really does seem like they're all following the same powerful, invisible blueprint. Well, it turns out that blueprint isn't so invisible after all. It has a name. Some call it the Monomyth, but you probably know it as the hero's journey. Now, this idea was made famous by the scholar Joseph Campbell, who realized the same basic pattern shows up in stories all over the world, across pretty much every culture. And when you boil it down, it's a simple three-act structure. First, the hero has to depart their ordinary world. Second, they go through an initiation, a series of trials and challenges. And finally, they return home, but they're not the same person they were when they left.
The key thing to get here is that it's a circle, it's a loop. The hero leaves what's comfortable, faces some massive crisis, and then comes back home a totally transformed person, bringing something valuable back for everyone else.
But here's the thing, it's not just a way to structure a plot. It's actually a whole philosophy, and it has a very specific goal. A goal that some people would argue is, well, a little too comfortable.
Let's look at what the hero is actually trying to do. They go out into the unknown, they face down some great evil, and they grab a prize, right? Campbell calls it an elixir. But the journey is not over. The most important part is that they have to come back home to heal their community. The whole point is to restore balance and put everything back the way it should be. It's about service.
Okay, so we have this beautiful, inspiring formula. But what if someone looked at that same exact formula and saw not strength, but profound weakness? What if they saw it as a cage, not a guide? Well, let's bring in the philosophical hammer.
The critique we're about to get into is, well, it's intense. It describes this beloved hero's journey as, and this is a direct quote from our source material, the saccharine poison dripped into the veins of every storyteller. Oof.
And this is where the gloves really come off. The critique just dismantles the whole thing piece by piece. The journey itself, that's just a recipe for comfort for people who are afraid. The hero we all look up to, nothing more than a sheep in the pasture. And that wise old mentor, like Obi-Wan or Dumbledore, just a crutch for the weak-willed. Ouch. The main charge here is that this whole story teaches us to just follow the rules and fit back into the herd. It's not a story for creators, it's a morality tale for the last man.
And this right here just lays the conflict bare. On one hand, the hero's journey is all about returning to heal the community. You're following a script to make things right again. But the critique demands the exact opposite. It says, forget healing the old world. Your goal is to become a creator of entirely new values. Forget the script. Scorch the whole comfortable narrative.
So, if we toss out the hero's journey, what's left? What's the alternative? Well, that leads us to a completely different kind of journey. The scorched path of the creator, which is embodied by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's famous character, Zarathustra.
Now, on this new path, your main enemy isn't some villain with a scary mask. It's an internal force. Nietzsche called it the spirit of gravity.
And the way our source describes it is just brilliant. It's a squat dwarf who anchors the soul with futility and resignation. You know that little voice in your head? The one that tells you to give up, that it's all pointless, that you should just sit down? That's the spirit of gravity.
So how do you fight this inner dwarf? Not with a lightsaber, but with something called the will to power. And it's super important we get this right. This is not about having power over other people. It's defined as the glorious struggle of the creator over the self. It's that inner fire that drives you to overcome your own weaknesses and grow stronger.
So, what does this creator's path actually involve? Well, first you have to be a yay-sayer. You have to say yes to all of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. You have to overcome that pull towards pessimism and comfort. And you have to embrace this wild idea called the eternal recurrence. Ask yourself, if you had to live this exact life over and over again for eternity, with all of its pain and all of its joy, could you honestly welcome it? The goal is to get to a point where you can scream yes to that question. That's how you become an Ubermensch, a creator of new values, who perfectly balances the soaring pride of an eagle with the grounded, earthy wisdom of a serpent.
Okay, so we've laid out two completely different models for how to live a meaningful life, which brings us to the big question, what is a hero even for?
Let's put it all on the table one last time. For the traditional hero's journey, the whole goal is to heal the community. The outcome is you return to the herd, and the highest virtue is balance and restoration. But for Zarathustra's path, the goal is to create totally new values. The outcome isn't a final return, it's a state of perpetual becoming, and the core virtue isn't balance, it's self-mastery and creation.
And that really leaves us with a question for right now. Looking at the world today, what kind of hero, what kind of story do you think we need more? Do we need the ones who can heal our communities and restore balance? Or do we need the ones who are brave enough to shatter old values and create something completely new? There's no easy answer. What do you think?